Hello, you wonderful people. Happy New Year, and it's Connor Whitmore right here with another video for you on the Nawtystep channel, and it is time for another Extra Naughties monthly roundup. Yep, that's right, people. A new year, 2021, let's go. But beyond it being a new year, it's also a new month, and so time again for a load of quick EP, album, and compilation reviews covering the whole of December 2020 in alphabetical order by way of artist or record label name, and they're all linked below in that order. No special mentions at the end this time, like usual, because I just didn't have anywhere near as much time to find music as I usually do. Yeah, just not that many that I found, so yeah, just not really worth it, I would have to say. But yeah, anyway, let's go. And so without further ado, kicking off this installment, we have the new EP from Avance, Creep Dead. I enjoy the opener, the title tune for its idea. Quite a colossal cut and very emphatic in what it delivers, but from there, the following four, the production really gets in the way of any potential further enjoyment for me personally. Just very muddy, contorted, oversaturated. It just doesn't sound pleasant to my ears. You know, I don't want to hear it again and again. Either that or the ideas are very unremarkable. So yeah, overall, feel like a lot of it I've heard before for both the good and the bad. So yeah, this EP just... New EP from Canna, which is alright, you know, like most halcyon material so far. It sounds pleasant, but are the ideas anything new? I'm not entirely sure. You know, I appreciate the futuristic gleam running through the EP and the imprint so far, you know, halcyon overall, but again here, not one for ideas that I'm going to remember that much going forward. It's more engaging in the second half. I think Celestia track 3 or 4 here is pretty nice on the ear, but overall, yeah, just fine. Decent. After that, Droptek remixes, which are somewhat underwhelming, I must admit. I definitely expected a little bit more. You know, the production quality, really good throughout, you know, great even, I would say. But only really the echo of Perfect Mandem and Leveler that I found myself going back to. And there are 10 of them, and it's 43 minutes long, so yeah. New EP from DDD has some beautiful melodic moments on it. Tracks like Prism Guardian and Era Ascension. But for the most part, these are ideas I feel like I've heard time and again. You know, a couple of moments of drop excitement here and there, but the production rarely backs it up to make the overall sound super impactful and give these ideas the necessary thwack and force. Make them hit in the right way, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, overall here, just fine. Debut EP from Elizra, formerly known as Lux. An interesting change here for him. Less outright heavy, more of a kind of poppy influence with the vocals, the general musicality of it and whatnot. I enjoy track 3, hung up quite a bit, the most memorable of the 4 in my opinion, but beyond that, not a lot that I'm really aching to go back to here, I wouldn't say. A lot of the drops are quite straightforward, quite simple. You know, I appreciate the change here, his stylistic, you know, development or evolution, if you will. And it's got a lot of potential going forward, you know, especially with not really that many people, if anybody, going for this approach in bass music. But yeah, start to finish here, overall, not that overawed. New EP from FuntCase, and most of the dubstep here just feels a bit mindless to me. You know, just walls of sound, not a lot of invention on show. Again, the kind of approach that I feel like I've heard a lot of by this point. You know, too much focus on making it as loud and heavy and aggressive as possible, and not a lot of ingenuity behind that. You know, I get that being overtly heavy is the main selling point here, and is what a lot of people look for, but me personally, it isn't for me. Then we have the IMANU remixes, a really nice range of musicians here. Again, production level very high, but I wouldn't say there's a tune here that I'm enjoying from start to finish. Each one captivating through the design, but the ideas are so plain, like, yeah, I don't know, you just expect a bit more invention, a bit more fun, a bit more excitement, but no, not available here. New album from Levitate, which I think is a really nice outlay of his style. That glitchy heaviness of his approach, I think, really coming to the fore here. The intricacy and roundedness of the production is great throughout, and I just love the storytelling aspect of it from start to finish, pretty much. You know, playing out like a movie. You'll know what I mean if you've heard it yourselves. You know, the different characters we get, the range of emotions on display, a lot of dark and uplifting stuff kind of melded and blended into one. And, you know, not many ideas here to get into. It's hardly catchy at all, but I think that's the point. It's more of a concept LP, and it really succeeds on that front. An enjoyable listen as a kind of weird, twisted, dystopian collection, and like a horrifying look into the future, controlled by robots and automatons, all that kind of stuff. Not much particularly normal about it, and I love it for that. So if you haven't heard it, big recommend. Next up, by now I think you all know what my impression is of Midnight Tyrannosaurus's music. Yeah, fantastic vocal samples, but very muddy and distorted production. Not really revealing much new to his style through the ideas we get each time, you know, sounding very similar to what he's already put out. And this EP is no different. New EP from Myriad is an interesting one. For the most part, your standard run-of-the-mill bleepy bloopy heavy metallic rhythm kind of thing. Music with a good attitude to it, but without a real character to make it stand out in that field. But there is some fantastic stuff here, I'd have to say, like Pistol Star in particular, the middle tune of the 5. Final Cut as well, kinda eerie as fuck and unique. Again, within that rhythm field, I think it does stand out, and I love the overall beefiness of his sound overall. So, yeah, not amazing, but I think a good amount of good here. Yeah. New EP from NUU HI, and I mentioned it with the Canna before. Really enjoying the overall vibe here, the musical flavour running through it. Again, just nice to hear dubstep leaning stuff this bright and jovial, colourful, really like that. But once more, these just aren't really ideas I'm desperate to hear again and again. The final two, I think, pick it up really well, but not much more to get into beyond that, for me anyway. You know, it sounds nice, it sounds pleasant, but I'm not overly enthused. New EP from Octane, which I think is a bit more direct with its ideas than the other Halcyon EPs I've mentioned already here. More on Offer to Remember, you know, not blow me away or anything like that, but has much more of a together feel to it, you know, more coherent and measured in terms of how it's put together and assembled, the formulation of ideas and whatnot, and the production is pretty good as well. Not that many ideas that I'm like, wow, yeah, need to hear that again. And overall, not mad, but yeah, one of my Halcyon picks so far, I would say, in terms of EPs. So, yeah, it's good. Then we have the new mini compilation from Overview, which is unfortunately very unremarkable. You know, I love this label, and I love a lot of what they put out in 2020. But this project just certainly is not up there for me. It feels very laboured and uninspired, lacking in a real spark or excitement to give it re-listen factor. You know, maybe at the end, the final tune here from Missing isn't bad, but, you know, beyond that, really quite meh, and yeah, just not a lot to it. Latest compilation from Rushdown, which is decent, you know, for me, no true standouts here, but almost all really solid, I would have to say, in my opinion. You know, some that drag a bit and don't offer that much with the ideas, but the overall standard I find to be good for a mostly underground compilation. You know, melodic bass music packaged together with a proper direction to it, and it doesn't feel random for the most part in its construction, and it's just got a good formula going on, I think, which works for the compilation overall, and that just helps in making a lot of it memorable. Not much, as I said, in the way of exceptional material, but for me, the Phazon and Skybreak and the Similar Outskirts and Datamosh come closest. But yeah, overall here, start to finish, front to back, really nice amount of flavour to it. Penultimately, new EP from Slang Dogs, which I like the approach of a lot. The way it's cut and the darkness and just the attitude of it, you know, the vibe. There's the odd sound in each one though, each tune, which unfortunately stops me from liking any of them entirely, start to finish kind of thing, whether it be the odd bit of percussion or a synth just not fitting in quite right. But generally, I think the most appealing stuff to date, in my opinion, and a style that I think has a lot of potential going forward. One that I've liked for a fair while now. It just needs a bit of ironing out to make it properly knockout music going forward. But yeah, encouraging stuff. And finally, the latest compilations from Subsidia. Okay, here we go. First up, Night Volume 2, only really the Captagon and Psy-Octave here that resembled anything even remotely close to something that I hadn't heard before. Pretty much all the rest of them are completely mindless, no invention, shoddy production. It just sounds rough. Like, I mean, they're practically carbon copies of one another, and there are 20 of them. It's just like, what are you adding? I find myself a bit speechless going through it, but not in the best way, you know, not in a good way practically at all. Very, very painful to get through. And then moving on, we have Dusk Volume 2, which is a little better overall, more engaging ideas, I think, generally, and a bit more fun. But only the Bad Habit and Blurred Vision and Space Wizard and Heritage, where both the idea and the production are good and kind of functioning in unison, and which actually sound, you know, infectious in any way and like something I'd want to hear again and again. So yeah, once more here, Excision not really covering himself in much glory with these compilations. But there we have it, the December 2020 edition of the Extra Nawties monthly roundup. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, no special or extra mentions here. Didn't find that much music, didn't find or have that much time to do so, weren't that many, so wasn't really worth it. But with regards to what I reviewed in this video, which ones did you enjoy, which others not so much? Are there any that I missed out? Let me know in the comments down below. But beyond that, keep it naughty. If it's naughty, then you know. And Happy New Year to all of you. I will see you all in the next one. A big year ahead for bass music. I'm very excited. Yep, here we go. Peace.